Let me tell you about Nina. Nina over here and in the photographs is a junior at Berkeley High School. She likes design, she likes filmmaking, she likes poetry. She's a writer at YR Media, where she reports in her community and the things that she cares about. Photography brought us together. We worked together on one of her projects in a piece in collaboration with Grist Media, CatchLight, and YR Media. And yeah, we photographed each other, we figure out how to take photos of other people, and we're also neighbors. Let me get the clicker. We're also neighbors, and she has the cutest cat named Romeo, the fluffiest cat ever. Nina, thank you so much for being here with us. I've learned a lot photographing the high school as part of photographing my local community. And something that I've learned is that the youth is very, very busy. Like navigating their lives, deciding what they're going to do with their future, and also figuring out how to stop our world from collapsing, which is a very big deal. And I think in all of these, Nina, you have found that images and visual media are good tools to process the world and share things that you care about. And that's why we're here, because we want to hear from you, not under this overwhelming title of a voice of your generation, but as a voice that is strong, that is engaging, and that has a lot to share with us. Sorry, this is complicated. Okay, and also another thing is that Nina's bedroom is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Her bedroom is covered from floor to walls and photographs, posters, poetry, designs, and it feels like a visual narrative up in the walls of all the things that you care about. So I definitely want to ask you, what's that? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, so I started it during quarantine, and I was spending a lot more time than I was used to in my room and in my house. And also it was an isolating time for me and everyone. And so I started putting up some photos in my room, and I did a lot of different things. I bought some posters. Some were from my friends, some photos we already had, some I printed out. And it helped me feel more in a space that was mine, and also just a combination of a lot of different things. It made me much more comfortable in my space and also more connected to like community, even in an isolating time.
When we talk about your generation as an abstract thing, I think we think a lot about the hyper-virtuality that you have gone through, and especially after the pandemic. But you have decided to use social media, and this is very personal to you. You have decided to use social media in a very personal way, not put it as a way to put yourself out there and share it with the world. And I do want to ask you why and how has this happened?
Yeah, so right now I do use social media, but I don't necessarily use it to post a lot of things or as a way to share my voice as much, because I think it can be really valuable in that it's easy for people to share things and there's a lot of information out there. And so I appreciate using it to see what's going on in the world and take in a lot, and also communicate with friends. But also I think when putting content out there, sometimes it's not given the space that I would like. Especially because of how fast things move and how much we're consuming in a small amount of time. And so I've preferred to go in other ways when sharing my voice and opinion.
And you do have opinions and you do have a voice and you're a very engaged person with your surroundings. So what do you do when you want to share?
So as you mentioned, I write for YR Media, and so that allows me to write in different forms, but especially commentaries, and so there are shorter commentaries, sometimes for KQED or KCBS, and I've liked this because it gives me more time to think about what I want to put out into the world. Things are pretty permanent, and I also just want to be thoughtful with how I'm sharing things, and also get input from other people, and so it's allowed me to be more thoughtful, and also once I share something, something, I know it's given a little more time. I take the time to record things as well so people can listen to the whole thing. And I think that's been a way that I've felt more comfortable with sharing my work.
It's scary to share your thoughts and your work out there, so I'm really shocked by you. Anyway, one of these stories is about Quinn, an Oakland activist that you wrote a profile on, and I'm going to show you all a photograph that Nina made. This beautiful portrait you made of Quinn, it's like a very private, intimate moment that you get to capture, and it is a hard thing to get an intimacy with with the camera, and I'm very proud of that photograph. It's very touching. Can you tell me how did you get there?
Yeah, it was a long process because I was also working on the writing side of the story, and so I had already met Quinn much before we met in person, and so I did an interview, and we had talked over text and on the phone. So we were familiar with each other when we went into that process, but still, especially I didn't have a lot of experience, so I wasn't super comfortable either. But a lot of it was time. You're seeing right now something that was more towards the beginning, and I'm happy with a lot of the photos, but I think over time, as we got more comfortable with each other, they were able to be reflected in the photos more as how you see them. And so I think that care is something that's really important to getting to that place, and that's something that I just learned with experience. And yeah, so the final photo that we got to, that was something that we'd been doing it for an hour-ish, and so or maybe longer. And yeah, it was something that took time to get to, but also familiarity.
I think we were all tired, a little bit exhausted. I think all our guards just fell down, and then this photograph was possible, which I think it's a beautiful, beautiful photograph. And I want to, Nina, as I said, Nina is very busy. You are also the president of a club at the Berkeley High School called HERO, a club that provides peer-to-peer education about drug use and drug dangers. Could you tell me about HERO?
Yeah, so we do drug education that we sort of design. The school provides some drug education, but what we do is for freshmen, we design presentations and then go in groups of 2 students to go into those classes. And we've also done other stuff. What you're seeing right now is a picture from an announcement we did when we made fentanyl test strips available in the health center, which were actually donated by someone, an adult that we've been working with. But a lot of our work is kind of centered around designing stuff ourselves and then trying to find ways to put it out there. Because it can be sort of frustrating and a long process to ask the adults or what's already happening to change, and so that's something that we found to be a lot more successful, and also bringing in the knowledge that we have as students to talk to students. That's our approach.
Yeah. And a very cool thing that you've been doing at HERO is that you've been trying to find innovative ways to share information with your peers, information that is not patronizing, that will get to them. And you decided to stay away from photography to do this, and you went into design. So we're going to see one of the posters that they've been doing. Can you tell me about why and what we're looking at?
Yeah, I designed this poster last year, and it shared some information about fentanyl as overdoses have been rising, and also Narcan, which is legal and you can access without a prescription. And so we wanted to share that information so people knew how to access it, but that's something that people have a lot of connotations with, and also a lot of fear around. And so sometimes posters or other forms of media that try to share information about that can sometimes be stigmatizing or turn people away from that information. And so we just want to create a more neutral space so that people can take it in, because it's really important. And
Nina, this is a lot of work. How has this shaped what you want to do in the future? How this is going to carry with you next?
Well, I think a lot of the stuff that I've done, it wasn't necessarily super planned out, and so part of my understanding from this has been that no matter what I do in the future, what job I have, that I can find a way to make change within that, that as a student I can do that, and that I don't have to dedicate my life in a certain way to make that change, that we can find it out on our own.
Thank you. I think working with you and other of your peers, for me, the biggest difference between our generations is that you're not waiting to be an adult, you're not waiting for your turn, you're just acting because this is a crisis and you have to do something. And that, I'm so grateful that you wanted to share with us, and thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.